Yo, Bumbling here. So, same as I did with the Sorcerer, I'm going to touch a little bit on the bright side. I initially didn't want to, simply because I feel like there's not too much happening in this patch for bright side. Bright side is probably in one of the better spots between the mages before the patch and then after the patch. I think the changes are not doing too much, if anything, really. So let's dive into it and have a look. Same again, we're looking at the basic general changes. Start of hand, it used to be an old tactic that didn't really do anything, only PvE aggro related. Now it's reworked into reducing all cooldowns. If we tap into the test server here, I tried to come up with a build to get an idea about what you can do with this build. And I think the only real build I could come up with is Ignite into the new Detonate, into channeling Fireball Barrage, into Annihilate, and then you can kind of cycle that. As you can see right now, it's a lot of button pressing. It's 3 different bigger cooldowns getting affected by Sleight of Hand to make it worthwhile slotting. But my issue with this build is, and I will cover this in the mini Ignite section, I think. So this is the only thing I could come up with where Sleight of Hand is potentially changing anything for Aoe BW. I haven't given it too much thought how it's going to affect Boiling Blood cooldown, Fireball Barrage cooldown, the knockdown, the heal debuff, and Withering Heat. That's a lot of abilities with a cooldown that is not spammable. Maybe that's going to open up for a new rotation, but I don't think so. And the same for Burning Iron. I don't think it's going to really affect the single target Bright Wizard rotation, simply because of how you need everything to snap at once when Boiling Blood is hitting. And reducing the cooldowns just at max, in my prediction, will be it will set up so you have more abilities after you have snapshotted one target and you need to go for the next target. So it's going to set you up for more multi-kills faster. And I'm not sure if it's worth slotting this tactic just for that. So that is Sleight of Hand. I don't think it's doing anything really for Bright Wizard. Maybe I have overlooked something. That is very likely. Close Quarters, same again. It's added to the 3 mages. It's now reducing your chance to be set back. Bright Wizard kind of already had that in the Shield of Akrish. 50% less likely to be set back. I mean, maybe it's doing something for Close Quarters Fiery Blast spamming, but I'm not a fan of that playstyle, and I think it's outdated and there's too much hard counters to make that worthwhile, simply. So it also now affects abilities that do not have any target requirement. Which abilities exactly is that on Bright Wizard in either of the builds? The only thing I can think of is you summoning your mount. Maybe I'm overlooking something, but I've been thinking about this for 3 days and I can't really think of any ability that requires you to not have a target with a cast time, because to my understanding, a channel is going from right to left, so it's not getting set back by damage intake, whereas a casted ability is going from the left to the right, and that can get set back. So which abilities are we casting on a Bright Wizard that is affected by Close Quarters? I honestly just feel like this is a Magus only change, and I mean, that's fine if they're trying to fix something for Magus, but it's also arts type a mate's tactic that is affecting Sork and Bright Wizard, but in this case, I guess it's not affecting Bright Wizard. Alright, as for the actual Bright Wizard changes, this is the reasoning. I love reading and hearing the reasoning, so I can agree or disagree, but at least I know what I'm agreeing or disagreeing with. So reasoning is always good. Thank you so much. They did some changes to the left tree, touched like 1 or 2 abilities, touched some tactics. That's basically, in my opinion, the too long didn't read version is that Bright Wizard now has a solo roaming tactic against melees, and you can debuff them with Burning Iron with a tactic. That's cool for those that does that, I guess. Burning Iron base damage got increased, so it's now a proper alternative to Seer, but it has a 20-second cooldown. So for your first kill as a single target Bright Wizard, you can use Burning Iron instead of Seer, same cast time. But it now deals corporeal damage and higher baseline damage, so it's compatible. That's good. You're closer to being a single target sword now. Area of effect. They say it's already strong. You can't really argue with that. They feel like it's fun to play. I mean, fun is subjective, and there's little path of configuration changes. Apart from a buff to annihilate, I mean, this is kind of welcome. I will play a clip here and then do commentary over it about the fun part. I do play my Bright Wizard in a more close range only build. You could do a hybrid with Fireball Barrage and going in and out depending on the pressure and trying to soften them up from range and then going in and finishing them off. But as for the fun of configuration, like this is the standard configuration spec where you're going in, you're spamming Flame Breath, which has an instant frontal dot. So that's your filler AoE. You unlock that by running Fiery Reserve tactic, which reduces the cooldown on Flame Breath. And then you have Explosive Force, which has a chance whenever you're hurting yourself to deal 350 morale damage around you. So you're kind of good as a frontline bomber. You're squishy, but you're mashing a frontal dot as a filler, and that doesn't feel too good. With your filler ability being Flame Breath and it's being spammable, unlocked by you slotting one of your 4 tactics with a utility tactic to unlock this spammable build, it kind of pigeonholes you into this build where your gameplay is spamming Flame Breath whenever you don't have Annihilate channel up or when the fight is mobile. And then you're basically just a proc bot. Yeah, you're spamming, trying to trigger Explosive Force and Flash Fires. Flash Fire is the big one, and I think that's the differentiate between me playing Bright Wizard and the devs commenting on Bright Wizard as a fun class. I think Flash Fire is a fun tactic. I don't think the AoE build per se is fun on its own. It's Flash Fire that makes it fun, but that's my personal bias, and maybe not all Bright Wizards agree with that. That's just my view. So let's play the clip a little bit. So spamming Flame Breath, looking at the numbers here, like sometimes you only see the 375 being the highest number of the damage you're doing. So that's the mini morale dump when you're hitting yourself with 100 combustion. For half of the combustion damage, then you deal it as morale damage around you. Like, look at the rest of the numbers. Like, this is just Flame Breath as a filler, as a spammable, because you need to be mobile. And looking at the numbers, like Annihilate critting for less than me randomly getting a morale drop, mini morale drop by hitting myself. Don't get me wrong, guys. I'm not complaining about Bright Wizard being weak. I'm getting a boatload of kills here. I'm having a blast, pun intended, with the flash fires. Like, I'm having fun. But again, I want to highlight that the fun is coming from being a proc bot, some of it, and then flash fire. As for the rest of the tactics, abilities, and morales, quickly gonna just touch on whatever sticks out to me. The mini ignite, or minor ignite, and detonate. I feel like it's a nothing burger. I think like it's thematically doesn't fit in. So for you to even get it, you need to invest 8 mastery points in middle tree. That's a fairly big investment. And the benefit from you to utilizing this would be mixing middle tree with rat tree. So you're trying to set up this like maybe boiling blood plus ignition single target / hybrid build, because there's no synergy between corporeal AoE resist debuffing in middle tree with fireball barrage, which is elemental damage in the left tree. So you're kind of giving up the left tree by going 8 points in here, and then you're mixing your 8 points or more from ignition and mini ignite into annihilate, which is corp, maybe backdraft, and then scorched earth. I'm not seeing how this is a thing. First of all, from bird's eye view, on order you already have access to AoE corporeal debuffs from Acid Bomb from Engineer. It's spammable. Any AoE fight, you can probably expect one engineer will have an Acid Bomb in there. So order as a whole doesn't need this, and it doesn't stack with the other sources. Also, if you have a knight running resist debuff, it's going to be all resist, so it's going to be lower value, but you still have an AoE all resist debuff from that. You can even get the procs from Swordmasters in a very unmeta niche spec. But what I'm trying to say is that investing 8 points and a tactic slot for you to AoE corp debuff does nothing for the Bright Wizard itself, it seems. You're giving up a tactic slot, you're giving up 8 points, and there's no overlap between the specs and the builds. So I don't see Detonate, the new version of Detonate, doing anything good for the bright result. It's just a nothing burger. It doesn't change anything. You might as well just keep Detonate as it is, unfortunately. This is kind of big, making the arguably worst heal debuff in the game undefendable. So at least when you're investing it and you're spending your 24 seconds and really trying to get it on your target and then they disrupt, that's the worst feeling in the game. So this is nice. Annihilate increased. Nice. You're still immobile and standing still. So whenever you stand still and plant yourself, the rest of the meteors will push forward because they can move and relocate while channeling. Meanwhile, you stand still and vibrate. So it is what it is. This is kind of huge. I really like this change. Flame shields, whatever. Like, I like that they're trying to do it different on Sork and Bright-Wizard. This is fine, I guess. This one, having a group cleanse for all. I talked a little bit with Thieves last night. We just had a debate about some of the changes on the classes, and I think we both agreed fundamentally that cleanse should be a healer's job, and having it on a DPS class feels a little awkward. There's pros and cons, and we went back and forth. To wrap up the video, I want to quickly highlight that single roaming 1-on-1 dueling Bright-Wizard faces different issues than single target small man scenario Bright-Wizard, and then finally compared to the warband large scale AoE Bright-Wizard. Only touching on the AoE Bright-Wizard here, I think that's out of the 3 playstyles, probably the most balanced and well-rounded of the 3 builds and playstyles. You are kind of comfortable. You are getting invited to warbands. You can run as a puck. You can solo leech. You have different options with like either ranged performance or melee performance. Pucks and premates alike, everyone kind of wants you. So the class is in a good spot. We can't really complain. However, there were some minor tweaks and wishes I personally had, and I'm going to touch a little bit on them. First of all, backdraft. This doesn't fit into the tree, in my opinion. It's a punt that leaves a big dot. Either I want the punt or either I want the dot. I don't ever want these two things at the same time. For me to ever want these at the same time, I want all of the targets to be root immune, and then I want to punt them. That's just not how the game plays and functions. I feel like this thematically doesn't fit into the build. I would have loved and wished that we gained a spammable AoE frontal or PBRE ability on this position for the 13 point. Maybe that's too late now to ever wish for that, but I will mention it and bring it up. I think it would be great for the build to get rid of investing into fiery reserves only to unlock Flame Breath to be spammable, for Flame Breath only to be spammable so we can trigger Explosive Force. Is that really a good, fun, quote-unquote, situation where we have Bright-Wizards running around spamming a frontal dot only to trigger mini morale damage? Can't we come up with something better and more engaging? Speaking of engagement and engaging, 100 combustion. I would love if there was more reason for me to press Scorched Earth. Scorched Earth is a fun, powerful ability, and it's nice having a mechanic where you go 20 up, 20 down, 20 up. 9 out of 10 times, mashing Flame Breath is most of the time better, and that's a shame. I wish there was more engagement or reason and incentive to press Scorched Earth. It could be based on which of the brackets of combustion and dark magic you have. That Scorched Earth and the Sork equivalent would have bonus damage. So it's a little bit a copy of the Slayer Chopper mechanic that when you're in yellow, you get a bonus from performing in yellow. So I don't know exactly what I'm suggesting here, but it could be something like whenever you have 100, if you press Scorched Earth, maybe you deal bonus damage. Maybe if you press it at 80 instead of 100, maybe you deal bonus damage then. Or it amplifies your next ability whenever you press it, so there's more reason to go up and down in the mechanic. It's the same as the Flashfire. Like, give me more depth and there will be more fun. I think that's my final notes. Bright-Wizard is in a pretty good state.